isn't it?
Lust for War is a 3 damage a turn. One way or the other, he's got to take damage from that tree speaker. He really wants to find a Bloodthorn vampire so he can get rid of that. Sounds like we're going to get an update on another one of the matches. It sounds like Andre is up 1-0 in his match on the back of a Palaka Worm.
Yeah, and not just Palaka Worm on turn 7. Remember, you don't get to 7 mana on turn 7. He got to turn 4 and cast a Palaka Worm. And 7/7 Tramplers are pretty good on turn 4.
Looks like an Artisan of Kozilek. Possibly. Tucked away on top of my monitor. With nothing to return.
So Gargo Mazoa, Wildheart Invoker sitting there for Josh on the right of your screen. And as you said, BDM, that Lust for War is getting pretty problematic as we head to Paulo. So the Brazilian puts his head in his hands and ponders his next move.
Paulo's got another Essence Feed, or an Essence Feed, first one. There we go. That was an Artisan of Kozilek. From our lips to the spotter's ears.
Indeed, beautifully done. The table went downhill a little, and here we are. So Paulo's board is pretty big. Paulo is down to 11.
And there's a Brood Warden.
So tokens will get bigger. 4/4 for 5. Andrea up a game, remember. And Guillaume up a game over Brad Nelson. Noah and Jeremy, they're duking it out on the back table, and they are still at 0-0. Blue-white levelers for Noah, and everything except white for Jeremy, with his 2 Aura Nalids. And there you see there's Lay Bare, Regress, and then on the left of the screen, what's that third card? It's a Domestication for Josh.
Attack.
Regress is the Artisan.
Go away, you're too big. $11 apiece here in game 1 of the quarterfinals.
One card.
12 pro points guaranteed to all the top 8 here. If they advance to the semis, that will take them to 16.
For Noah, it's a big deal. I was really hoping he can qualify for Worlds.
Oh, wow, of course.
His brother, Ben Schwartz, who you may know from the GG's live broadcast, is going to be leaving for Japan for a year.
Right.
And I guess he would like to spend some time with his brother in Japan.
Free trip to Japan. So is Ben going to be doing like sort of live Skype feeds into the GG's live booth? Is that going to work? I hope you've all been watching that at home around the United States. You can see some terrific magic with GG's live. So once again, Paulo says, "I'd like a gigantic guy." Matignon Nelson heading into game 2.
Sounds like we've got a 5/5 Caravan escort escorting a Champions Drake to victory in game 1 for Noah Schwartz.
Yep, the Champions Drake, pretty unexciting as a 1/1, but pretty pretty good as a 4-4 flyer, and when you get to level all the way with the escort, that is good enough. So Swartz leads 1-0 over the Australian Jeremy Neiman.
Domestication on Pawn of Ulamog.
I would like to steal your stuff, please. We saw an It That Betrays, talking of stealing your stuff, that was in the draft, but wherever it ended up, it did not end up in a main deck.
It usually does not.
Indeed not. The Super Friday Night Magic Trade Binder, that's where that belongs.
Paulo is down to 11 from his Lust for War.
What's quite interesting to me watching Paulo play here is I regard him as one of the fastest players on tour historically. I mean, he rivals some of the quickest Japanese players for speed of thought and speed of play. And here he is really taking his time. He's in the tank quite a lot here.
Well, Josh is a pretty deliberate player, and I think it's probably
catching.
Yeah, it's contagious, absolutely. And these guys know each other very well. They're on the same team. They've spent a lot of time talking about Magic. They know each other's sort of tricks and tells, possibly. So there's probably a little more. A little more going on in terms of knowing what each other's usually up to.
It's also worth saying, if you're new to us here on the Pro Tour coverage and not quite sure about the sort of arcana of how top 8 drafts work, these players did not know who they would be playing until they arrived this morning. They did not know where they would be seated. They did not know what packs they would be opening. None of that. So it was all new, and the fact that Brad ended up being seated to the left of Paulo completely by chance, the luck of the draw. So there was no opportunity to, if you like, concoct a draft strategy between them. You would know what preferences were, broadly speaking. If a player, was noted for not liking white, like you say, Matignon would not want white. And you can look, of course, the players can see what they've been drafting through the weekend, so they have some idea maybe, but no sense of sitting down last night and going, well, we're in a row, so we'll be doing this. That's just not possible.
He's going to attempt the
There's
to get back the Brood Warden.
Yep. Now, I tell you a card that would be very nice for Paulo sometime in this game with the life ticking away with Lust for War is the Jaddi Lifestrider. Sure. The 2/8, because that can tap itself and any number of other creatures to gain 2 life each. So potentially, if he draws that, he gains himself...
Or a Bloodthorn Vampire.
Yeah, for sure. So there are certainly ways other than his piece of removal.
Sends the Dread Drone, the Vampire, and 3 2/2s into the fray.
And so now we see some serious grey zone action.
Right.
Paulo at 8.
Double checks the Pawn of Ulamog. He's like, maybe I get these tokens? No.
Don't think that's how it works. Yeah, it's a non-token. Go.
So it sounds like Otsoka has a fully leveled Wave Watch that wasn't quite big enough, so he put a Mammoth Umber on it.
It's a 6/6 insufficient.
Yeah, 9/9 Vigilant seemed like the way to go for him.
Well, that seems fair.
Semi-indestructible.
Yes, indeed. He's the man with the black splash, remember, for the Galastria Blood Chief, Last Kiss and Induce, blue-white, semi-leveler, but you only need 1 to get the counters on, and you can do very bad things. So that sounds like we're heading for 1/1. It is not yet 1/1, and now it is in fact 1/1 as I speak to you. So Giarola, the 18-year-old from Milan in Italy, 0 lifetime pro points coming in to the weekend. Rather a lot more now. We were talking to you about the pro points, 16 for the semi-finals. If you make the final, you are guaranteed 20, and that in and of itself is enough for level 4 pro status for next year, and then the winner will get 25. We're going to show you later on in the day how the Player of the Year race is developing. There's not been a great week for the leaders in the Player of the Year race, or the level 8s.
Right, we talked early in the show about a number of the level 8s that are just last year's level 8s noticeably missing from the leaderboard this year, and they didn't do a lot this time to contribute. We're still seeing Shuhei notably missing, for example.
Yep, absolutely. So we've got plenty of things to bring you up to speed on as we progress through the day. But right now we are progressing through Game 1 of the best of 5 between Paulo.
Progressing is probably too strong a word for
we are
analysis.
Progressing or regressing, I suppose. That's what Josh did.
So Paulo's down to 8 here, and there is an active Stonewood Invoker on the table.
Yes.
A Wild Heart Invoker. I keep wanting to call it Stonewood.
Well, 8. Yeah, Stonewood's pizza.
Is it?
Yeah, Stone
or... yeah, never mind.
Never mind.
Call it by its proper name, the Green Invoker.
4/3. Wild Heart Invoker, +5/+5 and trample to something. That's the plan.
Yep.
And it sounds as if that raid bombardment plan is not coming off yet for Brad Nelson, because Guillaume Matignard leads 2-0.
So we're attacking with a token. And the Wild Heart.
So Artisan of Kozilek is going to get in the way of the Wild Heart Invoker. And it shows how powerful that Invoker is, that can be a trade.
Right.
I'll just make myself as big as you, Artisan of Kozilek.
Looks like a Brood Warden blocking the token up there.
Take 1.
Take 1, says Paulo, so that puts him to 7. Artisan goes away, Wild Heart Invoker goes away. Guard Gomazoa. Still sitting there for Josh. Lust for War still sitting there for Josh, but on the other side of the board.
Artisan attacks, he sacks 2.
More blocking entertainment.
Blocks with his Guard Gomazoa.
But Annihilate still happens, even if you get to prevent the damage.
Yeah, and Paulo's tick, tick, tick from the Lust for War. Lust for War.
4 plays 5. Getting down to the wire.
There's a Stomper Cub.
(5/3) Trampler for 5.
Paulo would really like a Bloodthorn Invoker, a Bloodthorn Vampire right about now.
Yep. Or the Life Strider. That would save him.
Goes to 1. But interestingly, he also has to use his mana before his combat step. If he wants to use it for anything. Otherwise, he's obligated to attack.
And he's sifting what looks like 2 swamps and... better be something good. Checks his mana. Checks his graveyard. That's never a good sign, I find. Most of the time when you're checking a graveyard, I mean, it could be an Artisan of Kozilek type thing, but a lot of times when players look at their own graveyard when they're on low life, they're like, what did I actually see this game as I head for game 2? Let's see how that turns out.
By the way, it was swamp, and no other cards. So he was Hollywooding a little bit there.
Okay. Josh passes.
And that's not a Bloodthorn Vampire, so.
And that is game 1 to Josh Adelaton. You said
Lust for War. Yeah.
You said it was pretty good, and you were not wrong. Well, let's see if we can take a little look at a little resume for Paulo Vita Dama de Rosa at the end of that first game. We're going to take you in a moment or two across to Table B to Guillaume Matignard against Brad Nelson. But there is Paulo, the 22-year-old from Porto Alegre in Brazil. You see, 216 lifetime pro points at 22? That's ridiculous. And off only 23 pro tours. This is his 6th Pro Tour top 8. Of course he is a level 8 pro, but BDM, you're the historian. Put this in some kind of historic context, just how good this guy is.
Well, I mean, we talked about it earlier with people with twice as much Pro Tour experience having only, at the highest levels, having 9 top 8s, having 7 top 8s. I mean, this is, this is a lifetime worth of top 8s. That's a Hall of Fame career.
It's the 6th highest of all time. Only 6 players in history have half a dozen top 8s.
Can you name them?
Yeah.
Can you name them at home?
Yeah, let's do that. Can you name them at home? So we've 1, 2 are easy. 2 are really easy.
Yeah.
3, in fact, 3 are really easy.
It's all pretty easy.
There's one I'm struggling with. I got to admit. Well, let's leave it with them.
Okay.
The ones who want to cheat can Google it.
Or they can just go to the event coverage page on Daily MTG.
Indeed, that'll do it.
Look under the statistics tab.
Indeed. So let's take you to Table B. Paulo down 1. There you see Brad Nelson, the 3rd member of the Channel Fireball squad. He is 2-0 down to Guillaume Matignon of France.
Hoping to replicate the success Louis Scott Vargas had in Berlin. He was down 2 games in his quarterfinal in Berlin when he came back and pulled off a pretty historic run.
And the semi-final. And in fact, Luis is the most loss-making top 8 winner of all time on the Pro Tour. He faced 6 elimination matches in the top 8 and still won. And no one has done that before.
So we see null champion training grounds means that we're getting in for 3 here. He was able to double level the null champion off of a training grounds.
Yep. So that is a very quick start. And
off of a slow start for Brad.
Brad has a Heat Ray in the hand, which is one of those nice scalable bits of removal that you really want to save till you absolutely have to use it.
I'm going to use it right now. I don't want you to have
turns
any
out
untapped mana.
Turns out now is when I absolutely have to use it on turn 3. There is Guillaume Matignon, the 29-year-old from Gradignan in France. 49 lifetime pro points coming into the weekend. Undefeated in block with his 7 wins and then 3 draws down the stretch. His Rogue Master deck. First
time we heard Matignon's name was actually when Pierre Canali won Pro Tour Columbus.
Oh, right.
His cohorts building that deck were the 2 Guillaumes, neither of whom had actually shown up at a Pro Tour event yet in any kind of significant performance.
So Matignon and Wafa Tapper is the other Guillaume that we're referring to there. That looks like a Champion's Drake for Matignon. Nelson, 4 land, and I'm going to run out on Giant. So I get to go search out a land. There's my 3rd color. There's my swamp.
The training grounds is pretty exciting in the leveler deck, but Guillaume just doesn't have a lot of levelers.
No, he has Gruldraz Assassin, which is super exciting. Skywatcher Adept, Zilliport Enforcer, 2 Null Champion, one of which is already in the bin, Lighthouse Chronologist, and then he has the Champion's Drake, which uses the levelers for good news. So as you say, not an awful lot going on there, but the fact that he's got Training Grounds in, he has 2 Zoff Shade in the deck, and already with the Training Grounds in play, they can get very scary very quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
So on the back table, Noah Swartz is now 2-0 up over Jeremy Neiman of Australia, the blue-white leveler deck.
Doubly leveled Zulaport Enforcer. Or singly leveled, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Costs 4 normally to level it, he paid 2.
Bargain.
Yeah. It's now a 3-3, and that gets out of hand very quickly here.
So you can see Stagger Shock there at the front of Brad Nelson's hand. As he fans them out. Looks like he's about to lay a forest. There it goes. And of course he accelerated off the Ondude Giant last turn, so his 6 mana. And what did he do? Oh, and changes his mind.
He was considering Essence Feed there.
Yep, that's one of his 2 black cards. Also Dread Drone, that's the rest of his black splash.
Kozilek's Predator.
Instead, he said, I'm going to go and get some tokens. And Kozilek's Predator, again, one of those sort of mid-range hill giant cards with tokens attached that found a home in block constructed.
He's looking at how many levels the Champion Drake needs. He can still Stagger Shock because he's got the tokens. He'll wait till we get 4 mana pumped into the Enforcer.
So there's 1, there's 2, response. Yeah, so that will go first time, and then Brad will have some rebound action next turn in his upkeep. That's a nice little mechanic, isn't it, rebound?
It's very nice.
Especially with Stack Shock.
Yes.
But then Distortion Strike, that's pretty fun as well.
Problem we have here is that we're dealing with a 5/5 can only be blocked by black creatures at this point.
So instead I'm just going to aim it at you. And pray to get some raid bombardments onto the table.
That's not really going to help him here.
No. He is struggling, so he goes on the offense. But you've got to say that Brad Nelson is looking in trouble here. He is down to 10. He is 2-0 down. He is facing a gigantic leveler from the blue-black man, Guillaume Matignon, who was the #1 seed coming in. He was pretty much unbeatable through the 2 days. Spectacular magic for the Frenchman. Former national champion, 2007 national champion, 3 French national top 8s, which should tell you something, because that is a tough national to do well in.
So with the Lava Flame Invoker in his hand, he could steal this game. This game is actually looking pretty good right now for Brad.
Okay.
But we're not going to give him a chance to untap. He's going to induce despair, revealing a Balagid Scorpion. And put you to 5. Brad gets to buy another turn here with the Essence Feed.
A little bit of a life swing. 6 mana. There's the feed.
That gives him 1 more turn. Turns it into a 2-possession game. And Guillaume is down to 6.
6 plays 5, 2-0 to Matignon. Nelson just 5 life points away from elimination. I can tell you that Paulo Dama de Rosa is looking in pretty nice shape back on table 1 in game 2. Has plenty of stuff on the board right now. Against not an awful lot from Josh. We'll keep an eye on that one for you, of course.
But by the way, a raid bombardment would be a pretty nice turn.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Absolutely it would. Jeremy Neiman has taken game 3 against Noah Schwartz. We're going to go there next.
Get an outburst from the Australians.
Is that Australians or is it Australian?
It's Australian.
Okay.
Get a Cadaver Imp. Getting back to Null Champion. And Brad extends the hand.
And we have our first semi-finalist by 3-0. Guillaume Matignon of France on the left of your screen has taken the win. And let's see if we can take a little look at his resume. Guillaume Matignon from Team Lotus Noir. As we're going to head to the back table shortly, which will be Noah Schwartz against Jeremy Neiman. And there is Guillaume Matignon, 29, and boy does he ever look happy. BDM, this was a man who, unlike Josh Utter-Layton, was happy to show how thrilled he was to be here.
He was completely ebullient yesterday, and I thought he was limping for a while. When I watched him walk around the hall yesterday, I realized what he was actually doing was attempting to suppress a skip with every step.
Sort of semi-Frank Kirsten.
He was just kind of like hopping and sort of stumbling along as he tried not to skip it. He just had